want everyone here to do me a favor. Think of your favorite professor, your favorite teacher. What comes to mind? Now imagine reaching out and talking to the person next to you. How do you convey that information? What do you say about that professor? Obviously, if my students are here, they're going to talk about me. But in other cases, you're going to impart a story, a narrative. Now, narrative is, in Lebov's words in 1967, a sequence of events that takes us from point A to point B that conveys empathy or revulsion for the characters therein. This is a narrative. Now, this is important because in 1988, Polkinghorne says that narrative is the primary way in which we learn. We convey information. We learn about each other, about society, about the world around us when we employ narrative. Now, narrative used to be seen as just a communication or sociological phenomenon. But we see something happening even today. All these different presentations and all these slides, we have 3 minutes to come here and impart what we know and what we can say in just a little bit of time, usually employing a story, a narrative detail. And then this way we can understand hard sciences, math. This is really critical when we look at what Avrandu and Osborne did in 2009. They came up with a great idea that chemistry is hard and math is difficult. Now, this is not new information, I understand that. But when they looked at chemistry and math, they found that many people were not able to access it. They didn't understand it. And especially when you're looking at STEM type of research and STEM type of technology, they were not having easy, it was not easy to attract new listeners, especially young women who they wanted to attract to the STEM field. So what did they do? They employed narrative learning and narrative technology into the classroom. Instead of just talking about protons, neutrons, and electrons, for example, they would use these ideas and concepts and craft stories and realities. And these students started to understand and started to embrace this. And they started to understand narrative and narrative technology. Now, my research supports this. And one key example I'm going to bring today, a young Native American woman by the name of C. Duna. She was having an experience like no other. She was going to her naming ceremony. And she went to the shaman of her people, her grandmother. And she went to the shaman and she said, "Grandmother, what is my name?" And in this narrative, she talks about having her name being bestowed upon her as the Beaver Woman. Now she is beside herself, completely destroyed. I don't want to be known as the Beaver Woman my whole life. This is going to destroy me. And instead of being despondent, she went again to her grandmother and asked, "Why this name? Why now?" And her grandmother tells her, "You heard, but you didn't understand. What is beaver?" And if you look out, beaver is the hardest working among our people. Beavers build things that last for years. Beavers do things that help us understand our society, our culture, our people. And in so naming, I know you can do that, and that is the power of narrative.